If I do that, it lowers.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are post late night show. The late night broadcast, the second service to our musical.
Yeah.
And we're super excited to have this in the books, to have shared this twice tonight. How do you feel?
Good. I mean, it's hard when you're like doing this kind of stuff because all you see is like the typos or the mistakes,
right?
Because you're exhausted and tired. But I feel like the good things absolutely outweigh the things that are mistakes, and I think that happens in any art form you do. There's no such thing as perfection, so it takes you a while for artists to get over that right after something. But it's definitely high, to be able to get this many performers to do, because I don't know if people understand the process. Like none of these songs or performances existed before. Well, the songs existed, but in other forms, but they didn't exist for the concert before we decided to put this together. So every performer you see has recorded their vocals, recorded their video, especially
right.
All within, sometimes a lot of them within the last 4 days,
right?
That they've recorded their songs and stuff. So while that's happening, we have to, the production part of it is pretty crazy because we have to edit all the sound, do a mix of the music so that it sounds correctly with the video,
right?
Put it with the video, color correction on the video, do a few edits on the video to keep it interesting. And then that's throwing it into the larger piece, which was this storyline, kind of mini movie thing going on using Zoom. So there's a lot of pieces that this takes, and unfortunately, because we're in COVID, we can't farm this out to a team, editing team, and meet them and do all that stuff. So we have to do it ourselves. So you're looking at sound and video production right here, just us.
Right.
So that takes a lot of work, and you don't have the second eyes like you usually have. So there was a lot of things that, I mean, even we had to upload the videos ourselves. So
yeah, a whole crazy thing. We have Nathan here too. Nathan, how's it going, buddy? Are you coming through okay? Hello?
I'm probably frozen.
And
that's a great entrance.
And there's his entrance, folks.
I heard like I heard like an R2D2 sound of like my name. And I was like, oh, I think
good thing you speak droid.
I do very fluently. So
and
6,000 other languages.
So Nathan, great job again. I mean, we talked about this a little bit in the first half, but wonderful job. A lot was given to you and the other leads in the show in terms of having to create a story arc in 25 minutes of dialogue, and it's pretty incredible. What how do you feel about the process and everything?
I think it was a lot of fun, and I think the ability to pull that off is attributed a lot to the writing and to the people who are bringing it together. So if you have a good group of people who are really willing to just sort of play, and really explore with those performances in the rehearsal, then I think it's going to come through in the performance. And so we were really lucky to have a great group of people to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows. You guys definitely helped each other out and carried the show. So having seen it a few times now, favorite part, Nathan, what are you feeling between pre expectation and now actually seeing the final product?
Yeah. I really loved how just well the spirit of Christmas, I think, that was so present throughout the entire thing. That was so much fun. I was really reminded of just the holidays, and I was just thrilled to see everybody just so holidayed up. And I didn't know that was going to be such an element. I mean, I knew it was going to be an element of the show, but everybody really went there, and I really love that. Um, I would say one of my favorite moments is in Asia's song when she comes on, and it's just like this like beautiful like 1980s style, early 90s style music video, and her hair's blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, that's amazing. So that was one of my favorite surprises.
Yeah. That's a fun one because she got on a FaceTime with us the day that she was going to record that, and she was like, I have a fan here. Should I turn it on and use it? And Richard was like, absolutely, use it.
Yeah.
And that's how the fan came into being she just happened to have a fan at the house, and so she used it.
It was brilliant. I mean, it was the first thing I said. I was like, of course Asia has a fan.
But so for those of you who don't know, that's actually one of the two songs that Richard and I wrote, was the song that Asia sang. That one, and then obviously the finale, are the two that we wrote that are originals. And Asia's was super, super fun. That was the first one that we wrote of the two. And we wrote it specifically with Asia in mind. We knew she was going to be singing it, and so that made it a really I think that made it an extra fun experience for us, knowing that we were tailoring a song for a specific performer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it really shows and comes through. I mean, Asia's an amazing performer, but the song just soars with her voice on it, and it sounds
pretty awesome.
So, yeah, and
She's sick.
We went through I think about 4 or 5 different melodies before we landed on that one too. Do you remember that, Richard? We had a whole other piano track that was like more Elton John-y at one point. We played around with like sleigh bells and like, what if we make sleigh bells we went a lot of different areas before we landed on that, and then implemented all of it. And now it's an Asia song, but
yeah.
So pretty awesome. And of course, I mean, your song is fun too, Nathan. I love just the simplicity of, standing next to a Christmas tree and being really old school with, a classic, like Happy Holidays, like, and just kind of giving it that sort of like Christmas storybook postcard kind of a feeling. Like you're like there's a hearth just out of shot,
Totally. I mean, that's what I was definitely thinking of, just all those old holiday specials that I sort of grew up watching.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a hearth, there's a Christmas tree, and they're leaning on swirling a glass of.
Right. Well, I know Richard and I have talked about this, but really, it's and I'm sure that when he comes back on, he can talk more about this, but it's really, the whole production is sort of in the style a little bit of like a White Christmas. It's playing back to that, the variety Christmas variety show
Yeah. I mean, people that have these variety shows that they would do for years and years and years, year after year after year, and it just harkens to that. And there's a certain warmth about it that just is. You just got to fall into it, and you just got to love.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, also it just helps us with story and suspension of disbelief. Musicals are hard because, as we say in the ending song, the idea is if you can't say it, you sing it. And while that's really cool for theater, it requires a suspension of disbelief, and it's hard to get that within the Zoom world. So this kind of variety, people are going to put on a concert, makes more sense in this kind of arena that we're in, where you can have people sing, and you can have almost like a music video production to it, and sing directly to you, because we've already put in the parameters that, oh, this is either a rehearsal or the production through Zoom. So that kind of like helped us story wise. And that's kind of fun to play with, because the reality is that we all are dealing with COVID and how it and its ramifications, and how we can do art today, And so I think it's kind of fun to explore that situation.
Yeah. Cotty's talking about the Christmas decorations that everyone had. Nathan, I know that's something you commented on too in the first time through. We didn't. The amazing part is that was that was really left up to each individual performer, and they came through really hard. With making it very Christmassy.
We did ask them to make it as Christmassy as possible.
Yeah.
So we did ask that, but we're glad that they did come through.
Yeah, people
with their Christmas trees.
Really brought it home and made it feel, like a Hallmark film.
Right. Well, and then the fun part of that is figuring out after, once you get the footage, what do you do with it, kind of a thing. And so it was really, Richard and I, color correcting and doing a couple other tricks and things to try to figure out how to make this feel not like a Zoom call and not like single camera performances, but really give it, a third dimension. And so, and there's some tricks to that, like in your video, Nathan, like adding that plate shot at the beginning of that's zooming in outside towards the window of a cottage before we get you and like bundled up warm inside with a sweater on, kind of a thing.
I was just thrilled every time a new video came on. And also that I was really happy that a lot of the artists sent, either multiple camera shots or different takes. Like with Charity, she had her puppy, I guess, in one.
Yeah,
so we were able to had 2 takes. That.
She had 2 takes, and literally one of her takes was called Puppy Take. It was take 1 and puppy take.
I love it. It worked amazingly. But you guys did a really great job of really, continuing to tell the story with those music videos, and really also continuing to heighten that spirit of the holiday. With if there were Christmas decorations, you guys really like sort of pulled into focus on those for a little bit. And these nice like slow pans and fades in and fades out were really cool and really kept us in the spirit of it all.
I think of Megan's track, because like with her when she did Oh Holy Night, she actually recorded to an instrumental for the entire song. And then Richard and I were like, what happens if we what if she goes a cappella all the way up until almost the big key change? And and that mixed with the pans of her Christmas tree, I think really kind of gave that moment a breath that maybe didn't exist with the instrumental playing all the way through. The other really fun one, the one that I personally had the most fun with was Leonard's video, Christmas Tree, the one that he wrote. And at the very beginning of his video, his camera was on a tripod, and he only sent us 1 take. And so at the beginning of the video, you just see his microphone on a stand, and then he walks into frame and starts singing. And I was like, how fun would it be to like use that, because it's a still image, how fun would it be to use that microphone and like find moments in the beats where like Leonard disappears from behind the microphone and then cuts back into it. And that's how we were able to kind of create that, like, he already has that sort of like McFerrin sound to him that's very like, and so just giving that even a little more just like brevity, I think really took it home in a fun way. That it really, there wasn't ever a moment where I was ever bored of a music video. They were always really interesting. I was like, oh, this is great. I know what's going to happen. I was always really curious and always on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that because our worry was like, are we gonna have a bunch of songs that are around the same that are, sleepy Christmas songs that we've all, because that's the thing about Christmas music. We've heard it done 1,000 different ways and we've heard almost every song. So how do you present a fresh concert,
Yeah.
with these songs that we've heard already 1,000 times?
Right.
And make it so exciting that people are like, oh, I do love this new take on it. Or so that was my worry going into it. It was like, how do we do that? But you have really good individual artists that bring something to the table and they bring something interesting. Like Nigel's "What Child Is This?" Super interesting version of that I love now, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's super crazy and amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard a version like Angela Thomas's version of what is it, Merry Christmas Darling? No, what is her song?
Have yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Okay.
Have
Yeah.
yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Yeah.
Have yourself I've heard a version that's kind of similar, but her voice has so much emotion and so much power to it that you're just enraptured by the sound of her voice. We've all heard "A Holy Night" probably like 1,000 times every Christmas, but you get a Megan on it and you're just like, okay, I want to listen to this power ballad going. So it's super cool to hear all these like different interesting takes on these classics or well-known songs. But also to get some new ones too. That was fun, like the Sam and Isbeth's song, which is super fun.
Yeah. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a really fun song that they had added for us with the two girls drinking and reminiscing about 2020.
Yeah,
and it added such a different element than what we would have had otherwise as well. It really brought another side of musical theater into the production. It was fun to have that diversity attached to it. Sure.
It was funny, pour one out, for 2020. And I love that we referenced 2020. I love that we reference it. I love that we reference COVID. I love that we reference Zoom, all these things. But I love that we reference it in a way that it feels real and not like we're trying to parody or make fun of it. You know what I mean? I like that we reference it almost in the sense of reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments was, well, two, actually, I think that you wrote in that were really nice. At the beginning, when you guys first come in, you're muted, and I was probably muted when I came into this meeting. So like
the truth of 2020.
I know. Best quote of 2020 is "You're muted."
Getting muted, and yeah, but really, really neat. If anyone's on and just watched, we would love to know what your favorite moments are. Please put it in the comments. We can see your comments, and we love your comments. And with that being said, let's bring on the king of commenting, our other producer and co-director, Lonnie Hughes, looking snug.
Lonnie.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hello.
How was the second round for you guys?
Oh, just as good as the first.
Excellent.
Okay. It's fun. It's fun to watch it. Well, it's the first. It's the first two times that any of us have watched it without hitting pause somewhere within it. So it's really.
Say that again without getting what?
It's the first time any of us have been able to watch it without hitting pause at some point during the production. So it's really neat to see it in its entirety, and how everything flows. And to do it twice is even better.
We had two full course meals in one day, back after back.
Right. Adriana says Charity's song and Megan's "Oh Holy Night" were her faves. Charity's dog is like one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen. Like that.
Adorable.
That dog is sickly cute. And and Megan's "Oh Holy Night" is just incredible, and it comes in a moment with that breath of acapella that I think just really like drives. Yeah. I remember, Lonnie, that was one of your favorites as well, right? Was "Oh Holy Night"?
Absolutely. Just you had mentioned it stating how you really got like when you were doing the editing, how your eyes got teary. So I was kind of looking out for it, and I didn't even have to look out for it. It just kind of looked out for me, and I was just like, I'm gonna relax on this one, you know.
Great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's quite lovely.
Yeah.
I love that we were able to, entertain and do all that like all the fun stuff that you want to do in a musical that you're afraid that you can't do on Zoom. you know, it's like I'm glad that we got to do all that, from like touch people's hearts to, hopefully people laughed at the end song and and just be like, these guys are nuts and have fun, and that's what we wanted ultimately.
Yeah.
The benefits of having a cinematographer as your third roommate.
True.
Tracking shots. Yeah.
I have a question for the creators. How do you guys feel? This, you guys have had a wonderful year. How do you feel as creators, as launchers, as innovators of musicals and telling really great stories? How do you guys feel now that 2020 has come into a close, and then we ended on such a beautiful note? I'd like to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I personally think it's a beautiful way to wrap 2020. I mean, we had this whole year we really focused on what is our identity as Allen and Gray digitally, and with the two of you and Rachel and then the help of other friends as well, we figured out in the beginning what that looked like with our own musicals and creating that entire festival of putting all 4 musicals up at once. And then coming off of that, looking at how can we amplify other voices within musical theater that might be marginalized otherwise and maybe aren't always given the opportunity to perform on a larger stage, which the internet is. And so really figuring out how we were able to create a platform for them that existed beyond just us, but went out into the rest of our community as musical theater creators with stories to tell. And I think this is the star on the top of the Christmas tree. It's everything was wrapped and accomplished, and there was just that last piece to say, all right, we're done.
Or let's just light the tree now.
Yes.
Honestly, I didn't know what we were creating to the moment we got into, to the moment I figured out casting for the show, was when I was like, okay, it could be this, but I still wasn't sure of it. You know what I mean? And I mean, you guys know I was dealing with the script, and I, writing that in, I don't know, a couple of days or whatever, and then having Nathan work with me on the punching up, and so I mean, it was the moment we got into like rehearsal and we were doing it all, and Asia and Matt had chemistry, and Clayton and Allegra were hilarious, and we were all laughing. And so it was just those moments, that you feel like, yeah, this could be something. And, and Asia and Nathan having that brother-sister relationship, like I wanted it to come off. I mean, because it could be easily, you could forget about Nathan's character, only because he doesn't have that like strong love story thing going through it. But what makes it familiar and what pins it and grounds it is the fact that he has this sister relationship. And also that he's going through his own obstacles. And we so much in reality based a lot of things about who we're dating in our lives, as opposed to, just who we are singularly as individuals. And I wanted that character to reflect that, because rom-coms do a terrible job of that and representing that, right? Because a rom-com is supposed to be about that relationship. So the question is, how can I put it in there without him becoming the best friend that ends up with no one, character that we all see that trope. And I think this was a really good way to have a heartwarming character in there that we could root for, that doesn't have to be based upon a relationship. while still within that romantic comedy theme overall. So there were some really cool things, and I'm glad that those attempts came off and played as well as we hoped they would. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this something that you could see us expanding upon doing next year, having it be our little mini staple with probably new songs? Like, any thoughts of that?
Well,
Ask me again after a good night of sleep.
yeah, right. Well, hopefully we're not in COVID next time.
Yeah.
That would be the first helpful. I don't know. I would like before we all talked about this in our producer meetings, and the one thing that we were trying to do is get this done as a Hallmark musical first, to have their first musical ever, and that's a rom-com. But I kind of feel like we could actually go bigger and do it even on Netflix or something like that too. So I think there's a platform for this to actually become a real rom-com musical. Obviously not with music videos in the middle, but that's still that same kind of style of heartwarming, because I think musicals have to be rethought too, especially within this realm. We can't all film them on the stage like Hamilton does, and I think they're kind of us sticking to this. Us sticking to this kind of like old traditional form. You speak it, then you sing it, or you can't speak it, so you sing it. Format is requires too much from the audience today, I think, and we no longer live in a world where there's none of that cynicism. So we got to think of more innovative ways to introduce. I'll call it song telling back into a narrative, and I think we're on that way. We're trying to figure that out. And I know that people will kind of reject it as we're doing it, but I think we're starting to figure that out. And I really want to double down on that. What we're going to call song telling, because I just made it up. But I really want to, I want to really double down on that, because I think that's important for the future of musical theater. Is to rethink how do we serve musical theater to an audience, and a younger audience, who's used to a different format of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one more question for the last song. Are we going to see that up on the platform tomorrow by its solo self, just dancing around social media? I mean, I got to tell you, it has me wanting to move, wanting to get up, and wanting to. I mean, it's a show in itself. That last song. So, is any thoughts with releasing that like within the next 12 hours?
like now, like I want to.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing that we can tell everybody is that tomorrow, we will be premiering the shows again. At 8 o'clock tomorrow Pacific time, we will start streaming the show, and you'll be able to watch it again. So if you missed it today, they're up right now, but at some point they won't be. But if you missed it today, you'll be able to watch it tomorrow. Or if you saw it today and you still want to watch it again tomorrow to hear those incredible songs, and more song telling, you'll be able to watch it again, because our goal is to raise money for Family Promise. And each one of these artists donated their time to do that, and we want to make sure that we do that correctly. So we're definitely going to be continue to push this, and so open those wallets, everybody, and let's give some money, so that we can help those that are probably in a worse condition than we all are in our warm homes, able to live stream right now, and talk about the perils of Zoom. Which is such a first world problem, right? That we're like upset that we're muted when we come on, or that our microphone's not working correctly, where there are people who have other issues. And that's always going to be the case, unfortunately, but it doesn't mean that we can't help out, and also that we can't treasure the things that we do currently have, especially during this time.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
I think that's all there is to that. 8 p.m. tomorrow will be the next stream of this, and we're looking to do this all the way up through Christmas because it's something that we would love. We created it in order to spread the festive joy of it, and you know, it needs so let's do it.
And he said,
We all need a little
Needs to
Christmas.
We all
Yes,
need a little
we all
Christmas.
We need a little
exactly,
Christmas.
exactly.
And it'll be great. I mean, the cool thing about tomorrow's is that we will have it premiered, and then from there you can kind of just stream it, and we'll let you know if that continues. If we feel like it's getting the wonderful, you know, acknowledgement that it should, and Family Promise is receiving those monies, we'll continue to make a day-to-day decision to keep it up or not, so that Family Promise can continue to raise that money. So you can help us by sharing it with your family and friends. Send emails out. I think it's you know, we have one cuss word in it, but other than that, I think it's family appropriate. You know, you'll have to explain some sex ed at one point, but other than that, it's family appropriate. You know, and I hope you guys can all watch it again and share it with your friends, because I think it's a cool time, and all these brilliant artists, Lonnie and Nathan and all of Taryn's work. I mean, just everybody knows Taryn does. I think I'm a fantastic songwriter, I am not a music producer. And that is what Taryn does. He's that strength for our partnership. And so all of that music production you're hearing is him grabbing a hold of it, and making it stellar. And it's good when it comes in, but it's not what you're hearing. And so that's all of his hard work. So got to thank him in the process too.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Labor of love, and it's also not hard when you have people as talented as these people are sending you their material. There's worse jobs than to listen to Megan's and Angela's all day long.
True.
So
True.
all right, y'all.
All right.
I think
All
that's
right.
the end of our cast here, and we're super excited to be sharing more with you throughout this week of Christmas. And thank you everyone for being involved. Lonnie, our co-director and producer, Nathan, our producer and one of our lead actors, and Richard, our producer, our creator, our writer, our co-director, our lyricist. And what title am I missing? We good?
Did you say composer?
And composer. There we go. And we're good.
And scene.
And scene.
Let's see.